is the podcast of professionalizing entrepreneurship, and I am Ngai Yuen. With me in the studio are Dr. Ainurul Rosli from Brunel University London, reader in Entrepreneurship and Enterprise, Dr. Chang, founder of GRITse Social Enterprise London, and both are the co-creators of the Professional Practice in Entrepreneurship PPE. In this episode, we will be talking about the art of learning by doing. We talk about learning quite a fair bit, but what about the doing? We keep forgetting the doing bit, the practicality bit, the going out and really feeling it is equivalently as important, if not more. So how do we do that? How is that incorporated in how we should be learning as an entrepreneur?
I think it's similar with the lean startup methods that we always have been knowing about, experimentation, pivoting. You can actually do this by just simply doing it. So the concept of go do, make it the learning experience important, make it the learning experience influential. So in a team, it makes it easier for them to go do and take action. So, imagine if you are a hero entrepreneur, you have an idea to do something interesting. It would be it would be very difficult for you to actually doing it if you know that you're doing it alone. And imagine you have the same idea, but the fact that knowing that you have 8 of others people who are doing or experiencing the same experience what you are handling at the moment, it makes it easy for you to take the risk. It makes it easy for you to go do.
But having said that, I understand what you're saying, but a lot of entrepreneurs have this, but this is my idea. I'm not sharing it. If I share it, then I can't, it's no longer just mine. How do you deal with that?
Okay, idea is just idea. There are zillion millions of ideas, Ideas without action is basically dead. Otherwise, it becomes a philosophy when there's no action. So the action is the doing bit. And because of the action, this is one of the one of the formula of entrepreneurship is the willingness to take risks. The learning by doing is the action of the willingness to take the risk, whether it is going to be successful or not successful. If it is not successful, we call it experimentation. How do you make it better? So it's about pivoting, experimenting, and being flexible and to learn from it. But of course, in the old school, I remember in the earlier days, we teach our students to do business plan. Perfect business plan. So perfect that they're asking for 5 million, okay? And they went to the bank. And the bank officer said, have you got any experience? And they're chucked out from the bank. And they come back to me, you told me to write a very good business plan, perfect, really fantastic ideas, but I just discovered that the bank won't loan it to me because I do not have the experience and I do not have a team.
Not to mention collateral, but okay.
Yep. That's correct.
But okay, yeah, I understand that if you do, and the idea here is not about successful or not. The idea here is that you learn whether you didn't do it well or you do it very well, you're still learning. And
yes. That's
progress, which is really important.
That's correct.
So the question perhaps for many entrepreneurs is that if you are already doing it and you have to be doing it, then you might as well be doing it very seriously. But the environment in the university, for example, or in schools, you can't be an entrepreneur until you are pretty much graduated. There are university laws that stops you from getting your company started. You can't be earning while you're studying. Either you have to declare this, you have to be paying taxes, you have all those issues. So are we always play pretending and then therefore learn?
Not really. Actually, some of students actually have started their business while they are studying in the first year. Okay, but especially,
they need to declare, no?
Yes, they have to declare. We teach them to actually, one of the ethos of our PPE is to comply with regulations and not to be a cheat, and to run away. And that's what we want our to have the integrity. That's really important, one of the ethos. And students will learn. We have one very good example. His name is John Kigonya. You can actually find him. He's the founder of DusuPay. And he kept telling me about these ideas. Jane, I want to change the world. Money transfer, especially in the developing country. That's where I come from, in Africa. And I thought, you must be dreaming. I didn't really trust him. That was my side. You see, my assumption. I said, this won't happen, You are here. And after a few years, he was in the same class. He was working with a team of students who are generating money for the social enterprise. And that's where he got the idea about the importance of working in teams. He actually came to our class and shared with his juniors how important it is to start things from zero budget, because you realize that the only thing I have is me and my team. And how do I mobilize me and my team to make it happen? And of course, initially I said, you must have really big dream, but you need to start small. So what he did was he started his DusuPay very small with a few of his friends. So replicate what he has learned in his undergraduate years and coming out with this DusuPay. And now it is now established in the market, and now they are establishing to 80% of the, in Africa.
Wow, that's pretty good a success rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he won't be able to do it unless he actually try it out, unless he actually go out there and do. Another example that we can actually share is, last week that we have a CETEL project, Social Innovation Through Entrepreneurial Learning. So, we have 5 social innovation projects, and each of the project we have around 8 academics from the UK and Malaysia. They collaborate together to come up with a social innovation project. So, on the first day, on a second day, they actually research and think and try to understand, come up with an assumption of what the project could be. Now, everything changes the moment they step into the life of the villagers, because unless they actually go out there and do something, unless they actually go out there and validate their assumptions, the idea that they have before is just meaningless. And I think this is the most important thing that we want to say it here, because we need to take into consideration the beneficiaries. We need to take into consideration other actors. And the only way for us to do it is by going out there and try something.
And what if the environment is not exactly enabling? So by saying that perhaps the punishing schedule of a student, for example, may not be as helpful in that particular student understanding that they need to spend a bit more time in business, and the reason why it failed was because seriously you didn't have enough time for it. You didn't spend enough time to make sure that there are room to grow and be better. Mm-hmm. So what if there are this kind of external forces at play?
Yeah. So when students are actually doing real projects, the first thing they ask, if I did not raise any money, would I be penalized with my marks?
Yes.
No problem at all. We do not penalize you any marks, even you don't even come up with any money raised. But most important is, what have you learned from this experience? And of course, you go against the theories. So we are looking at the learning rather than the outcome, the money.
Yeah, it's more about
what have you developed? The social capital and the human capital.
It's the relationship that you build by the end of the day. And I think it's not about I need to spend one day with them. Without one day, I can't actually do anything. I can't actually go out there. I only have 1 hour in between my classes. So what do they do within 1 hour? This little investment count. If you actually only have 1 hour in the morning before the class, what did you do with that 1 hour? It's more about knowing, embodying the practice of entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs are very busy individuals, and you need to know that, you need to start by thinking of it, and then they practice it, and then they become one. And I think they need to understand everybody have a limited hours, but how do they actually use their resource? So it goes back to the resource mobilization, and time itself is an element, a very important resource that they need to know how to manage.
What about support from the parents, family, the teaching faculty, for example? Are all those important?
It does play a very important role, especially family. We have students who are actually coming from family business backgrounds. Some of the parents are very supportive. Sometimes the parents are in communication with us as well. So that helps us to understand further how their business. But of course, some parents may do the reverse. They will do something and then thinking that they will provide the financial without having to go through the learning journey and thinking that, it will help them to gain marks. I said, no, it doesn't work that way. They have to go through the process of failure and learning to make it better. They have to pitch to you just like you will have the similar process when you select the best pitch ideas. So your children will go through the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this learning by doing is beyond just simply doing it. Why you're doing it in the first instance? You're doing it because you want to understand whether what you are thinking you are doing is correct or not. And this is what we call experimentation, right? Because people think that when we mention the word experimentation, you're just simply playing around, and that's not the case. Because doing it will then help you to make a decision. Whether you want to go to the left, whether you want to go forward, and whether you want to go to the right. And this is what we call pivoting. Sometimes individuals think that I want to go to a point A, but they don't realize that in order for you to get there, there's so many ways of going there. And sometimes it takes longer route, but that route will make it more meaningful, will make it more sustainable in the future. And this is, knowing when to make a decision, knowing when to pivot is very important learning that they need to know as well.
I have students like, you know what, I've saved so much money, I've saved so much, I can start out a business. I don't have to pitch to anybody. I'm using my own money. And I will tell him, why do you want to use your own money? It's so risky. Why don't you use somebody else's money who have surplus and, and change it into something more meaningful? And you don't have to risk your own money, your pocket money that you have saved so hard for your family. All you have to do is improve on your pitching skill.
Right. I have a family, and their main concern is that if their child pick on entrepreneurship and practicing and doing it, they will lose him to the world, to the real world, and not have, they're worried that they may not be able to keep him in university and in school because, he would be so excited about wanting to bring it out.
We have students like that, after the first year, they decide, I don't need university, I'm going to do my way. But after a while, they realize that they need more knowledge because by not learning, getting those knowledge, they hit the wall more. So what we are telling them is, you go to university, you have a better shortcut, you have more case studies, you learn from information from other people, you learn together, that help you better, and you have a community.
Mm-hmm. And then I think one thing that student doesn't realize is the critical thinking that helps them to make the decision better. This critical thinking element is what we taught quite a lot in the university. You evaluate data, you understand information that can help you to make a decision. When you do about entrepreneurship, it's all about making a decision. Whether you want to go forward, what are you going to do with the resources? How do you actually mobilize the resources? It requires decision, and the faster you can make a decision, and the better the decision is, the quality of the decision matters in terms of the path that you are taking forward. I think, like what Jane said, yes, they can still doing it. They left the university because they think that they can actually run the company much more faster. But, sometimes they just not really hard. And then without a proper resilience, without persistence, a strong persistence, it's really hard for them to go back up.
Actually, we have many entrepreneurs who have not gone to universities. They come to us. Now they become entrepreneurs in residence because they want to be associated with the universities. It's like, you guys, he was like, one of them is
Andy
from Content Cal.
Yes.
Said, you guys are so lucky you're at university. I wish I had been to the university and not to hit the wall, like what he has experienced. You have the best chance.
I like when you said entrepreneurs in residence. Mm-hmm. We have artists in residence quite a fair bit, but I've never heard about entrepreneurs in residence. So what do they do?
They are like mentors because they have the experience. Mm-hmm. They have more, and the experience is more near than us to students.
In the industry.
In the industry. So they are from different industries. So a lot of students will have different interests in their business ideas. So we have quite a range of mentors from different industries where the students can actually access to them.
Right.
Yeah, so different entrepreneur in resident bring different skills. So we have Fernanda, she's actually a lawyer and also runs social enterprises. We have Andy. Andy never went to the university but values knowledge. And then he said that I wished I could find a course that run like this before. Then he can see the value of doing what he likes, and also at the same time, supported by theories and information research.
And how long does this usually run for? Do these residents run for 3 months?
3 months, yeah. And then actually we're trying to extend it during the course times, because when the students are in the universities, so it's much easier to assess them.
Yeah, so what we had is on our website at ppewestminster.com. So we actually have like a booking system. We have you see all of the entrepreneurial residents, and students can actually just simply look at their availability. So usually the entrepreneur in resident will provide a range of time that they are available, and student will then be able to book their slot.
To listen to them or to bring them?
No, to see them face to face, to share their knowledge, or maybe they are currently, we have one student who are currently expanding their idea into a new market, and apparently one of our entrepreneur residents is quite influential in that area of market. So, this is where you could connect and then see, how can I actually get into that country? Is there anything that I need to do to make it work?
So they play a mentoring role, whereas we academics, we play the coaching role.
And there is a difference between mentors and coach.
Yes, the coach is to help to develop the competence, the skills, the mindset, whereas the mentoring provide a more intimate journey of the industry-specific skills.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is a two different area of work that a lot of people are confused about. Once you're a mentor doesn't mean that you can become a coach. And, if you're a coach, should you actually become a mentor? Because even though we ourselves run companies, startup, but we are a bit detached. So we acknowledge that as an academics, even though we know the theories, we know how it runs, and we've been there, we run companies before, and we work in a corporate before, but time goes by, so many changes in the industry that we still need somebody in the industry currently that help our student to make some sense in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, even everything, whatever that's familiar to us today, I mean, in just a difference of 24 hours, it's already rather different.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing that people need to know is it's not about one person knowing it all.
Yes.
So as academic, we don't know all, and I think admitting that to the student, we don't know now. Maybe we know somebody who knew it, who know the information.
I mean, as academic, we need to be entrepreneur. We need to have the entrepreneur mindsets to come up with innovative design curriculum to help our students, to shape them to be the desires that they want, to be entrepreneurial in whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to know our limitation and where our roles are. So we can't be like from A to Z in education.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to work with the real people in the industry, the real players.
Yeah, because by the end of the day, these are individuals who will design the future. What we do is just shaping it to make it better for them. We kind of help them to shape it. But the designer is them, it's not us. It's not us.
So when we talk about the zero budget crowdfunding campaign that you've made the young people do, just to test their ability to be resourceful, and to learn by doing it that they understand the word resource, right?
And especially what actually it does is it creates that pressure port, a microcosm, like this is what it is like to be an entrepreneur or to be working in an organization with limited resources. It is not like, wow, you have a beautiful building, lots of resources. All you have to do is, like a remote control, the money will come out. It doesn't work that way.
So when you work in a limited